Hi, my name's Steve Kinney, and this is a course on creating end-to-end tests with Playwright. Testing has always been an important feedback loop, and now more so than ever with agentic coding tools. In this course, we'll cover the fundamentals of using Playwright, as well as more advanced strategies like mocking out network requests and controlling authentication state. We'll learn how to build verification loops that give feedback to our agentic coding tools. Be confident that your agents are writing production-ready code. So now we're gonna play live coding challenge time, which is, what do we wanna do? What should we test? What do we wanna make sure happens on this page? We can go somewhere. We can go look for a given thing. What are we thinking?
Clicking a link that goes to the right page.
I like that. Let's do that. That feels good. It feels like a pretty standard thing. So for instance, the playground is a non-authenticated route, right? So theoretically, if I click on that link, I should get to the page. Really, really controversial stuff, right? So we can say something like test. Clicking on design system. Sure, I love that. No one needs me live coding a description. And so in this case, we will just make sure I close everything. So yeah, we'll say we'll go to the initial page. And honestly, because it's the nav, it could theoretically be any given page, right? And we'll just steal the one from up here real quick. So we'll grab that primary navigation. We'll talk about how to create reusable things. So you're not doing this every time, but we haven't talked about that yet. So that's the problem with the time-space continuum is we will talk about these things, but we haven't yet. So we'll go ahead and we will make sure we'll go to get the primary navigation. And from there, we're gonna say, sure. We'll go ahead and we will get the link that says design system. And then you can see you have not only the ability to fetch stuff document query selector, but then the ability to take actions, right? And there's a whole bunch of nuanced actions here. There is the ability to click. There is touch gestures. There is the ability to instead of just setting the value of input field to type the characters in there. Every banking app that doesn't want to let me paste my routing number in twice and thinks that me typing it by hand the second time is going to provide anything for anyone. And we go ahead and we then say expect the page to have the URL design system, right? We go ahead and we can run it. And it does all three. Life is good. We now have a little bit more confidence that everything works. But there's obviously a lot of stuff that we're going to want to improve about all of this. One is it would be great if I could find out the exact selectors and everything I needed way easier. It would be great if I could just literally click around and define my tests. It would be great if we figure out how to actually log in and check that state. It would be great if we didn't have to get the same navigation every time. Luckily, the great thing about writing your tests using code is that you have code, right? And so stuff like writing utility functions that do the common tasks, hey, we could take the fact that we want to go to the login page, log in, and save that state with the cookie somewhere and reuse it. We can do with a lot of these Playwright SDK APIs and all of those things. So we'll kind of build towards that and then kind of build a suit of armor around our codes that we know that we've got this coverage without I didn't go and get myself an agentic coding tool to then write tests by hand for 40 hours a week, right? Ideally, if we could figure out ways to make our lives easier, that would be great. The kind of first one I'm going to introduce is a concept, and then we're going to jump in and see it in some code. So we have the mental framework, which is this idea of storage state authentication, right? Or just storage state, really, which is Playwright has the ability to both take whatever is currently, if you ever open up the Chrome Dev tools and you go into application, you can see there's local storage, there's session storage, there's cookies, there's IndexedDB, so on and so forth, right? These are like the kind of things that the storage state can store. And so Playwright has the ability to take whatever the current cookies, local storage, what have you, is, and save it. And as you can imagine, it also has the ability to load it, right? So now what you are going to do is two things. We'll talk about like seeding a database in a second. For now, what you're going to do is like go into the app and just go ahead and either, if you want to write this with a test, you can do that too. I don't insist on the first part, which is like go ahead and like just make an account. It's not actually going to send you an email. You can put a fake email in there. This is a simple app. And you're going to create an account, and then you're going to write a test that theoretically goes ahead and logs in, right? What I would recommend you do is do not try to, sure, if you want to be a hero and think if you can do all the selectors by hand, but I think this is a great opportunity for you to either grab the Playwright code gen or the Playwright UI. I would go with the code gen if I were you, but you choose your own adventure. And like go, manifest a test that has the ability to go ahead and log into the application. I'm going to use the code gen. One thing I wanted to call out, only because again, like the question came up earlier, is it's definitely worth tacking on a -- help here to see some of the options, because again, someone was asking like, even in the code gen, like about like languages and stuff like that, and there are a number of options that you can play around. I think languages, you can set it, to British, English, where, a few extra vowels in there, or what have you. There's some other really cool ones that I kind of forgot about until I thought to check for the language one that then made me want to talk about this, which is like, if you need to like force the coordinates for geolocation, right, to keep tests consistent, or to test different things, you can absolutely do that. Like I mentioned before that you could do the color scheme. You can also do stuff like the device in terms of like, does it have touch events versus like click events? Like most of the things that you can also do in the Chrome DevTools, shocker, you can do in Playwright. But like worth, again, calling out as well. But we'll go ahead and we're going to point this at our development server just to kind of like, again, drive the test in this case. We'll go ahead and we'll click sign in. Now, I could also just start it at the /login, which is almost definitely the right choice here as well. And again, you can either go ahead, click and type, or you can use some of these other tools that also exist here as well. So for instance, is that the value one or is it the other one? You'll notice I always have to hover over because I will never fully remember. I just want to enter the value though. Yeah, see, speak page, get barrel to be empty. That's not necessarily the one I want. It's fine. So we'll go ahead and we'll just say, just want to take the action. And I made one, Steve at Frontend Masters, which is not a real email account. Or I don't know, maybe somebody's email account. It's not mine. And I'll go ahead and I will log in. And now you can see I'm on the login page. And, some of this test is like not totally great, but like it also does work. And we'll talk about how to improve it in a moment. But I'm going to grab this and I'm going to take it with me. And then we can like, again, even if it gets me most of the way there, I will take it. And so we say you need to make all the tests pass, but then we also say you need to commit. And guess what you can't do unless all the tests pass, right? And again, that's that like, so if it tries to be like, I tried, but there's pre-existing stuff. I have tried a million times to say, and I don't want to hear anything about pre-existing tests. That still doesn't do anything. Maybe in a few versions. So again, for live vibing, you want to try it out? Cool. Yeah, so for the loop that we set going earlier, it did switch to like just mocking out the routes, which honestly is probably the right choice. So let's go take a look at that. So in this case, it like literally it was like, instead of just having this giant recording file, you're only hitting one endpoint. Why don't we use that route fulfill that I showed you earlier? Like where it just, we'll show you like, in this case, this fake book, because that's the test we said we wanted to pass. And that it shows it on the page. But what's cool about this is we are still hitting that endpoint, right? It's just getting fulfilled by Playwright with data. So in terms of the flow, we're never hitting the Open Library API, right? We are like effectively controlling the data. If we wanted to have tests where we like have one search result, 1 billion search results, like you could have all of those use cases. And like it does two things. One, it enforces that everything works the way you want, but also it just helps the model know what you wanted. Like most of the time we blame the model is usually our lazy prompting. And like the better infrastructure we have with Playwright, with some of these skills and MCP servers available, with the instructions we give it, the better results we get, just as if we were working with a human, right? It's about having that infrastructure that keeps everything sane and sound, which if your project grew big enough where you had a large team, you were gonna have a lot of these problems anyway. With people with longer memories that get performance reviews and like need to feed their families and stuff like that. So like they tend to learn a little bit faster than a thing that forgets everything every time you start it up. And only remembers things written in Markdown files. It's like the movie Memento. But like generally speaking, a shocking number of the same principles like fit in. But like in terms of like, it did get to the point where it could make a commit. Right? Because like that was given the loop and that we gave it a clear criteria, not like, make my test better, right? We gave it like, this is the definition of done, right? And this is what you need to do. And then we gave it the tooling to verify that, right? In this case, I've actually kind of like, it'd be interesting to like give it more like, now that I think about it, it's like, okay, now like go to the development server with the Playwright like CLI and verify that it works. It doesn't know how to log in because I haven't told it about how to do that yet. So like, that's why I think we got to make the test work in that case, right? Like, and so yeah, like I think what we got to say like, but it's a good point that like it can't log in, yet the test suite has the ability to log in saved, right? And so like, effectively, the system that we built is the only way for it to solve the bug that I accidentally caused when I was fighting something else. So that's a beautiful chef's kiss of a moral of the story at the end. Let's have it use the... I mean, it fixed the issue. So now the moment of truth, though. Is that, yeah. Oh, it fixed the bug. So the test passed, they made the commit.